Okay, I got 7 o'clock and we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. All the trustees are present. And if you join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Nate, we are on Zoom. I would remind people on Zoom, the chat feature, if it's available, is only to be used to contact the host in case of technical difficulties. Okay, we're moving on to item 2, additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. Do we have any? If none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our agenda. This isn't the consent agenda, actually, it's just our agenda for the meeting. Do you want to amend your motion?
Yeah, okay, because I thought we were going to do
Yeah.
the speakers for the consent agenda.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're on item
any
2.
Changes to the agenda?
Yeah,
No.
we're on item 2. So do you want to?
Okay. I'll correct that and move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay. Second still stand?
Yes.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Do we approve our agenda for tonight? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item 3, persons present not on the agenda and 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have anyone that is desiring to speak? Recognize Mr. Blasey.
Rocco Blasey, 10955 Alexander Ave. I was a little confused by the agenda with the trustee workshop for the risks. And so I like that you're thinking about risks to the town. I thought there'd be more participation, so I'll use the comment just to talk about a couple risks that I see in the town. One of them is code enforcement. Colorado Rules of Civil Procedure 106. Subparagraph A, subparagraph 2, a town's failure to enforce its code opens a municipality to potential lawsuit with monetary damages. And so I believe that's a substantial risk. If we have code and we're not enforcing it, it could open up the town. And I think that's something to consider. And I do have some information that I can send to Becky. It's from a University of Denver law professor that talks about some different liability issues. The other thing is vacation rentals. I'm glad that the town has capped vacation rentals at, I think it's 60. I don't know how many licenses we currently have, but I also believe there's some potentially not on the books, and that goes back to enforcement. I think vacation rentals, I know Woodland Park is looking at this issue. I think it causes issues between investors coming in with deep pockets and families or full-time homeowners. My biggest concern with vacation rentals is the potential for people coming and not understanding how susceptible we are for wildland fire. And I believe that could be addressed in the code, prohibiting open door, open flame fires, maybe townwide, but certainly with vacation rentals, because people coming in just don't understand. I think vacation rentals have the potential to disrupt neighborhoods, especially in our small neighborhood settings. Affects affordability. I think it weakens our community and the residential character. And I believe that is a significant potential risk to our town. And so I think having a cap is good. I don't know if 60 is the right number, but I think it's an issue, and I think that has risks, the vacation rentals. So those are the two things, code enforcement, working hand in hand with the vacation rentals. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Do we have others that wish to address the board? Is there anyone on Zoom, Nate? I think you just closed it. Okay. Yeah, if there's no response, then we'll go ahead and move on for now. Item number 4 is our consent agenda. Trustees, questions, comments about the consent agenda?
Where are we on getting copies of the income and full dispersals?
We should be able to prepare some detailed ledgers for you as a part of your budget workshops.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we may need to put that one slider to the far right down just a little bit more. We're getting some feedback. Thanks, Sean. It's the one to the far right, down at the bottom. Test, 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 test. Test, test. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay, if there's no other questions, comments on the consent agenda, I'd entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve our consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, item number 5, PPRTA-3 project descriptions. Mr. Gidding. And yeah, just make sure the blue light's on. Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. In the most recent meeting of the Citizens Advisory Committee of the PPRTA, we went through, I guess, what we call the first reading of the list of projects for all of the member governments. There will be 2 more before they are finalized and then become part of the ballot issue next November. One item, one suggestion that came out of the conversation is there needs to be clarification on our list of youth pass improvements. I know, and everyone in this room knows, we mean youth pass avenue. However, the people in the room down the hill did not know that. They thought we were planning to do a lot of work on Highway 24. So they asked for clarification on that. There is a plan. Becky and I spoke before the meeting. I'm going to find a time to get down here hopefully during the week with Becky and Andre from Wilson. Look at these projects, beef up the scope a little bit, maybe clean up a few of the descriptions. One other thing to consider is the priority, because there, as you know, there are 8 priorities, in PPRTA, and we need to determine which ones want to be 8 priorities, because those are the ones that are at the top of the list. And that we can't finalize really until we talk to Andre, get some census and costing, and see what we think will actually be able to do. The money will be coming.
Trustees, questions, comments?
In terms of the A-list, does it have anything to do with the cost of a project, or just it's just the need?
It is the need, the priority. Now, the important thing is that the A list for PPRTA as a whole all the A-list projects must be fully funded before you can move on to any one project. And that means it doesn't matter if Colorado Springs goes all the way through its A-list, El Paso County goes all the way through its A-list. If there's one entity that has fully funded their A-list, nobody else can move on to this. So everyone is supposed to choose wisely and make sure that they intend. I will compliment the town that you did actually put forth a specific set of projects. One of the other communities, which remain nameless, just kind of selected an amorphous grab bag of, we'll do road repairs and bridge repairs and other things like that without any specifics. The fair to me to be check in that, and then we'll come back to some changes. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Becky, Nate, was there any action for us on this?
No, that's informative. We have an opportunity to revise that list. It's in draft form. And I think that having Andre's assistance as he's the consultant working with us on our comprehensive roads plan will really have a great sense of what those priorities are.
Okay. Okay, moving on to item number 6, intergovernmental agency agreement with El Paso Teller Opioid Regional Abatement Council. Oh, floor is yours.
Wonderful. I'm triggering my memory here of the first conversation that happened prior to my tenure with you all. But as I recall, this was settlement money that could be available to the communities as a result of an opioid settlement. Forming this group and signing this IGA will allow the communities to move forward on it.
Precisely how much money were we talking about that was won by the Attorney General?
I'd have to
The
do
state
some
attorney.
research on that.
I did have a couple of questions about this. Our possibility for membership. I noticed here there are some areas like towns in Teller County, for instance, that have 350, residents. We're well north of that. I think Woodland Park is, or I'm sorry, Cripple Creek, I think is about like 1,150 people, for instance. It seems to me like here in this town, it's kind of unique because we have like an AA place. Do we have NA? I don't know if we have Narcotics Anonymous. We have a church. I think Darlene might even be a counselor or certified counselor. I think. Is there any ability to get in touch with this particular commissioner that's going to be running this program and try to be a little more involved? I was reading over the document and how the votes are determined. Seems to me like El Paso County has it's represented by, Colorado Springs, Fountain, Manitou, I believe. Is there any potential of becoming more involved in this, having a voice? And
I'll reach out to Mr. Hodges and find out.
okay, is there any ability that we'd be able to kind of shelve this until June's meeting possibility, just to see if we can be a little more involved in the votes as far as the abatement council?
If you'll entertain a moment, I will look up that email and see if I can find out if it was time sensitive.
Thank you. I think it was mentioned that they wanted to kind of wrap it up by the end of June, the abatement council, but
Lots going on this week. Just a moment to trigger my memory on it.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that. I mean, we do have some skin in the game here in this town, given that we have the Church of the Wildwood, the AA facility. I don't know if they do Narcotics Anonymous, for instance.
Yeah, if it's participation on a council, we would need the body to do it. That'd be my only concern on that, is identifying someone and having someone available to do that.
Yeah, it mentioned in the document that it could be the mayor or designee could be a trustee or designee, anybody really in the town that has experience and either with prior addiction, counseling, so. Seems that we do have a couple of resources here in town. Maybe we can get with them and see if that's even available, but
We are able to table this until our next meeting and still meet their requested deadline.
which is a requested deadline, yeah. So is something you would the board would want to wait on?
You can always make a motion. If it gets seconded and approved, then it would be tabled.
Okay. Yeah, I would motion that we would just wait on this to see if we can get some skin in the game.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We table item number 6, the intergovernmental agreement with El Paso Teller Opioid Regional Abatement Council. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, moving on to item number 7.
Could I just ask a question? Perhaps Becky can help us with this. In this agreement, it says that all opioid funds, regardless of allocation, shall be used for approved purposes. Do you know what those approved purposes are?
I'm trying to trigger my memory on this. I think it was like on your December 7th board,
Okay.
and I was pretty starry-eyed that night. So yeah, let me get a little bit of time to review that, and what I'll do is I'll send a memo out to the group at large with some additional info.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, ready? Okay. Yeah, moving on to item number 7, resolution 2022-06 on the town banking authority.
This and the next item are just basically necessary for the change in board and administration. Typically on the Pikes Peak, Park State Bank, there are 4 signatories on the account: the clerk, the manager, mayor, and mayor pro tem. So this is just updating the mayor and mayor pro tem, and then if approved, they will make up some new signature cards for you to go up and sign. So,
Actually, I already did today.
okay. Good, great, thanks.
They're just waiting for you to.
I signed when I started.
You have to re-sign every time there's a change.
Okay, thank you.
We know what we're doing tomorrow.
We maybe should have approved the resolution first in that case.
Trustees, any more questions, comments?
Nope.
If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-06, a resolution of the town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado, designating authorized signatories on town bank accounts and individuals authorized to conduct online banking on behalf of town.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2022-6 on the town banking authority. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Moving on to item number 8, 2022-07, appointment of town officers.
This is just another formality, appointing Sean Goings as town marshal. Resolution 2022-07.
Trustees, any questions, comments?
No, I thought we'd already done this.
We swore him in, but this resolution wasn't at that meeting.
All right, well, we want to make it official. I will move to approve resolution 2022-07, a resolution of the town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado, making appointment of town officials regarding the hiring of Sean Goings as the town's new marshal.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2022-07, appointment of town officers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Okay.
Moving on to item number 9, appointments to town committees or ex officio members. Do we have a,
I think it's pretty self-explanatory here, but each committee or commission has an ex officio member from the board that typically sits in on all the meetings, weighs in, and communicates back to the board.
and you know, unless there's someone that really wants to take planning commission, since I just came off planning commission, I'd be more than willing to take on planning commission one.
And I'd like to continue as a liaison for the Parks, Recs, and Trails Committee.
Could we have someone willing to jump in on fire mitigation?
Be willing to work on that.
Hmm?
I'd be willing to take that up. Fire mitigation.
Is that all?
That's it. Thanks.
Okay. Moving on to item number 10, reports or trustee reports. And I'll go down the road here. Catherine, do you have anything?
Not at this time. Thank you.
John?
Are these reports are geared toward the ex officio type scenarios, right?
I will,
For the most part?
for the most part, but you know, I plan on doing like the public service announcement
Okay.
gig along with it, so.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything.
Well,
Thank
I guess I will just put in a plug for the ribbon cutting that we're planning to have at, I guess it won't be our next board meeting, but our first board meeting
In June.
in June. That's the 7th,
Mhm.
I believe. And is that planned for 6:30? Okay. So it'll be 6 o'clock down at the fitness court.
Bring your workout clothes.
Oh, yeah.
You got short shorts.
No, no.
We have rules against that kind of.
Yeah. Todd does not do short shorts. Okay, moving from the other end, Sunday.
Nothing.
Okay, Nick?
Nothing for me.
Okay, well, I'll do my little PSAs that I'm wanting to try to get into the habit of doing, along with the ones on Facebook. The fence, the work on that continues. It won't be totally complete until the fitness court goes in, and then we can really finish it off. We're planning on doing the parking area on El Paso Avenue down by the lake, redoing that. We may, time permitting, before Memorial Day, do some culvert work on UPass and Olathe, right where the triangle's at. There's also plan to get into that zoned road maintenance activity again. And we're also getting more materials in to do some more pothole repairs up on Park/Hotel. And as far as the accomplishments, obviously we've been doing that parking down at the tennis courts. Water on Mars has started a park maintenance with aeration for fertilization and irrigation. And we just got another sign up from our sign project, Welcome Center. Sign just went up. And the other one is happy anniversary, dear. Today's our anniversary, 36 years. Okay, if there's no further trustee reports, we'll move on to, are there any committee reports?
No committee reports.
Okay, staff reports.
I'll bring mine's up here on the screen. Co-swap start date has been postponed to June 7th. The extra 3 weeks have been approved, so though there will be 5 weeks total then in September to October. Been meeting and walking the property, staking it out for the core work crew, and talking with property owners and answering any questions people have on that. Need to finalize the volunteer roles and schedule some work dates. I think all the plan is to remove fuel mostly after the Mile High work is done, just to make it a little bit easier and more efficient and give more time also for some access point agreements. And then maybe, and then extra months are good for the seasoning of the wood to make it the larger chunks a little bit easier to get out of there. Grant revenue stuff, catching up on all the portals. Seems like every grant has its own portal and reporting template or so just learning all those and getting caught up on all that stuff, as well as audit documents to the auditor, and that will be rescheduled for sometime in June or July. Been gaining clarity on some of the budget questions that have come up, and likely will have to provide a amended budget sometime in the near future. Short-term rentals, 46 active, 4 pending applications right now. And land use code, we have a draft of all the installments, went out to the PC members last week. Hopefully get some comments back this week. And we have a work session planned for next Tuesday night. And then the timeline, tentative timeline up here for potential approval of that land use code. I don't believe we'll need an extension because we have 90 days after the June 30 spending deadline in which to close out the grant process itself, which would be September 28th. So I think that'll give us enough time to make any recommended changes even if the final approval is delayed. Any questions?
On July 5th, for our work session, is that before the 6:30 thing, or is that a separate?
What's that? I'm sorry.
It's July 5th Board of Trustees work session.
I think it would take longer than a half an hour. So I think however we want to plan that, I think it would be at least, that would be the draft coming from the Planning Commission. So Planning Commission will have worked through, like we did last time, all the different comments and concerns. So the board would get that well in advance of that meeting, so should have time to review and perhaps get comments back to me to do kind of the same process, go through comments, concerns in that way.
Should we plan on at least an hour then?
I would say at least, yes.
Okay, so we'd need to start early or start the actual board meeting later, because the 5th is a regular board meeting, right?
Mhm. I would say probably start early is better.
Start at 6.
Sure.
Go board meeting 7. Heads nodding up and down.
It's in the calendar.
Wait a minute. I think Catherine's got it in there too. Okay, Sounds like everyone's.
Will an hour be sufficient? Do you want more? Tom, what do you think?
I think that's good to start with. If there's a giant amount of concern or something, we'll have to recalibrate. And, but like I said, I think we have a buffer of time
Okay,
to do that if we need to.
okay. Your turn.
Yeah.
Thanks. Just a couple of updates on my rolling project roster. Just finalizing a couple of details on some vacancies that the town has, to include the deputy marshal and the planner. We can expect to have those posted here pretty shortly. The Stilling Basin's invitation for bid is out and posted on BidNet. We did have a pre-bid meeting. It was optional yesterday. And we will have a bid opening for that on the 24th of May at 10:30 a.m. Additionally, we were waiting on the bond from the contractor to be able to begin the Gazebo Lake ADA accessibility for all project. Received that today, so we're ready to issue a notice to proceed there. Of course, you talked about the fitness court, and then the comprehensive roads plan and project, just a little bit of public info on that. They're out in the community. They did a couple of PR posts for Facebook. Once they get into their more technical imagery process that they'll be doing, we can expect to see a drone in town. So if you hear about that, that's what's going on there. In the public works world, as the mayor discussed, we will begin that zoned approach to repair of road maintenance this coming weeks. In addition to that, we have a couple of pallets of the cold. Thank you, sir. Cold patch should be in on Thursday, so they'll be working on a couple of potholes. Appreciate everybody's patience while we get there. We talked about, filling in those spots in the meantime, but then they have to dig it out. So they'll be working on that here in the next couple of weeks as well to get those repaired, and really appreciate their help in getting the patch on the dip. You know which one it is. Also wanted to thank everybody that attended the community potluck that was done. I know that a good time was had by all, and it was a phenomenal send off for Virgil, for Marshall Hodges. Just a couple of other things coming up in the works. We will have a representation at Colorado Municipal League this year. So wanted to thank the board or the trustees that have volunteered their time to attend that. We were able to get a scholarship for both Mayor Dixon and myself to attend. So Trustee Guthrie is also able to go. So we've got some good training at a very small price tag to the town. Other than that, I've got lots more in writing. If you have any questions, please let me know on anything specific.
Okay, trustees, questions, comments?
Is the cap on short-term rentals 60? It is. Okay, thanks.
Oh, yes. Sean would like to address this.
Button's working. Okay.
Okay.
Just a couple things. It's this month is Law Enforcement Appreciation Month and Emergency Medical Services Month. So I'd just like to thank for all the people that work in and around with us in those professions. Thanks from myself. Just a couple of things. We had 219 hours worked by deputies, marshals, and reserves. We had 18 calls for service.
an additional 17 calls for service that were handled by phone. We do have a working agreement with El Paso County, and I'd like to say that they only had to cover us 4 times. So it's been a very busy month. But we got through it. It was good. Questions?
Okay, doesn't sound like there's any questions, so thank you.
Thanks.
Is that all?
And that's all our staff.
Okay. Moving on to item number 11, correspondence. First item up is the opt-out.
Yes, you have in your packet a memo from our attorney. They reached out because they are preparing several opt-outs, resolutions for opting out for various municipalities that they represent. This particular act that was approved by Colorado voters 2 years ago would require that the town contribute from each of the employees' paychecks on a schedule towards this medical leave. If the town opts out, not only does it unburden staff from having to do that, but it also allows the individual employees to better determine whether or not they would like to opt in individually. This is really just correspondence at this point in time, but it will be on your next agenda on the 7th. If you would like to be able to opt out. So they do need, I think our deadline for opting out is June 30th on this one.
So restating, we go from a mandatory paycheck deduction to an optional paycheck reduction if we opt
Exactly.
out. Any other questions, comments? Okay, the appointments to the outside agencies.
I just included this as information for you all to think about. There's several PPACG and PPRTA and Pprbd, several acronyms for you to research and decide who wants to be involved in those positions. I also need to verify the terms. This document here is outdated and needs to be updated with term dates. So I don't personally know much about any of these myself. I have not sat on any of them except for I did the water quality one very briefly a few years back, but that wasn't too exciting. And other than that, I'm sure there's people in the room, Ann and Craig and Becky and whoever else are familiar with these different committees, can answer any questions.
Only question I would have would be, do we have estimated time commitments for each? I mean, like per month.
So I think the one that ends up being the most time intensive is that PPRTA, the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. At your orientation, that's the one that Jane talked about. It's got a little bit more of a time commitment, and particularly entering into it this season with the November ballot questions. I anticipate that one probably takes several hours per month to fulfill that commitment. The other ones are typically just a monthly meeting.
Yeah, if you would go up, we need you to a microphone so the people on Zoom can hear you. You can use Nate's. Ann, you can use Nate's.
Well, I just noticed that I'm listed as the alternate on the board of directors. That's not true. It has to be a trustee. So it'd be, it was Catherine and Jane and Margaret have been. So you're still on the, is it PPACG Board of Directors? Or one of them?
PPRTA.
You're on that.
I'm still the, well, I was the alternate.
Now, so you'll need an alternate for that. And then also on the PPACG, you need the same thing on the Board of Directors. And I represent Green Mountain Falls on that one. That's El Paso, Teller, and Park counties. And what was that? But I can't be an alternate, on your directors thing.
Mhm.
And also I would mention that with the PPRTA, they used to have 2 citizens from Green Mountain Falls. That's all been changed. So now, of course, Craig is the official one, but the directors appointed me as an at-large for El Paso County, the Board of Directors of the PPRTA. So I still get to talk about the mountains. So, thank you.
All these meetings are during business hours, correct?
Generally speaking, yes.
Yeah,
It does take some time. They do have Zoom now,
mhm.
but it's usually a couple hours a month for each one.
And
Yeah,
when-
for me, it's not so much the amount of time as it is the time of day.
I know I'm retired, so I'm available, except on the odd occasion when I might be out of town.
We got Zoom.
Yeah, they got Zoom. When do we need action by? Is this going to be on our next? Is this going to be on the agenda for the next meeting?
I think it should be. I think that we probably need to, particularly for the PPRTA, have our members designated. And then I think that there's a couple of other ones. The CML advisory board, that's really at a policy level one. I could really see Sunday enjoying that one. The PPACG ends up happening on the same day in the same building as the PPRTA. So it almost makes sense to, if those are ones that you're willing to take on. If you have time, I'm trying to think of the Pprbd advisory board. That's the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department Advisory Board. I think that has a pretty direct tie-in also to the Planning Commission.
It's typically presented as a resolution with all of the people named in the chart here with the terms. So I think if we have volunteers, if you want to volunteer via email to me or whatever, then I can complete this document and then have it as a resolution. We could always change it, I guess, the night of, but be better to have it all or as well as we can filled out as a draft resolution.
One on the PPACG and the PPRTA. That's really good because you meet with the directors and officials from the-
Yeah, I'll likely be throwing my name in on that one, so.
you just need-
Yep.
If you want, I
So-
can just summarize all the positions in an email, all the alternates needed and all that, and then we can go from there.
Well, I was thinking the trustees could read through the packet, volunteer to you via email, and have that action hopefully before the next meeting, next regular meeting, I should say.
Sound good.
Okay, if there's nothing else, any other announcements other than our Thursday night work session that we're planning on?
Maybe repeat that. I'm not sure. I know I heard from Becky just recently about that. So
Yeah, we have an item that's come up and we need to have a working session on it. Thursday night, what was it, 6:30? And we'll likely invite Sean and maybe one or two from the Parks, Rec and Trails to come in and be a part of it. What he's on Parks, Rec and Trails. Yeah. So we'll have, and Nancy will probably come with me. So maybe. I think I just told you, honey. Any other items?
That's all I had for you. Short list this week. Thanks.
Okay.
So this work session, how is it going to be posted?
We'll post it publicly. It will be open to the public.
Will the subject matter be part of that?
I think so.
If there's nothing further, it is 7:46 and meeting's adjourned.